Welcome in again to the hot seat, where we prepare some unsuspecting victim for 10 questions they have to answer. And joining us today, the maritime professor herself, Lauren Beagen, joining us. How are you, Lauren?
Hi, so great to be here. Thanks for having me. Doing great. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing well. We've got 10 questions here for you. I need answers to all 10. Are you ready?
I think so. Here we go.
Right. First one. Probably always the same, but nevertheless, what is the problem? What is the number one problem your company or organization is trying to solve?
So, I often say this. So I have two companies now, right? So I have Squall Strategies, which is my legal solutions, basically law firm. And then I created a second company called the Maritime Professor because I was finding a lot of people didn't necessarily have legal questions or didn't need to retain me as a lawyer, but they wanted to know more about ocean shipping. And so that's what I try to solve, is really breaking down those silos between the two. We were finding, especially when congestion was hitting the ports were backing up, but then the truckers maybe didn't know, or the shippers didn't know how to get their stuff. They just didn't understand it. So that's what I want to break down those silos,
That's a great initiative to take on. All right, number two, I'm going to throw a little bit of a hard one at you. You can take a second to think if you'd like. If you could add one person to a regulatory agency in the maritime industry, who may not be in the maritime industry now, who would you want to see enacting laws, writing legislation, and so forth?
I think it's okay to say Dr. Sal Mercogliano. I would like to see Dr. Sal Mercogliano join one of the federal regulatory agencies. So I was down in D.C. for quite a bit. I love it down there. It's such a fun town. Certainly a fun town to be young in. Maybe one day I'll pursue that myself. I'd love to be an FMC commissioner one day. I'm putting it out there into the universe. Okay. But right now, Dr. Sal Mercogliano, 100%. Okay. I hope that's okay to say. That's
fair. I'm sure he would run screaming, but we'll throw that one by him. Number three.
We'll start a whole commission to get him to do it.
Number three, you're driving along, you hit your gas station, you got to fill up. What is your food, drink, gas station combo on the go?
Oh, good question. So up here in New England, it would have to be a Mary Lou's iced coffee. And I know Dooners often put that out there. Do you do Dunkin' or do you do Mary Lou's? So I'm a Mary Lou's person. But I mean, if you're traveling, you're not really probably close to your house. And I'm a Midwesterner by breeding, I guess. I grew up in Michigan. So I would have to go with a Diet Wild Cherry Pepsi and one of those little cheese trays. Okay. Because any good Midwesterner, so Traverse City, Michigan's where I'm from. We are the cherry capital of the world. 75% of the world's tart cherries come from the Traverse City area. Even though Washington State claims to be the cherry area, it's Michigan. So the wild cherry Pepsi, right? And then you can't go wrong with cheese.
Gotcha. All right, number four. Obviously, the ILWU negotiations are 6 months past their deadline. Gut feeling, how's this going to end? All right. Number five, one person, living or dead, in the freight industry that you like to pick your brain at by having dinner with them, and you can't say Sal Mercogliano.
Okay. Well, we chat anyway, so I'm good there. I think I would go with Malcolm McLean, kind of the father of the box. He really revolutionized just everything that has to do with modern day shipping. He was a trucker, right? And to kind of, talk about somebody who's breaking down those silos, especially if he were still alive today, I'd be interested to see his take on the kind of gatekeeping of information that may sometimes happen, or just that siloing of the information, how to solve that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Number six, as a lawyer, what is the one issue that you see popping up more and more that people are having difficulty with, or they're just running into, or this is the area that causes the most trouble? What is it?
Yeah, from the past 2 years, detention demurrage, hands down. That's what I work a lot with the shippers on, is detention demurrage, and trying to kind of figure out what was appropriately assessed and what was maybe inappropriately under, and I say inappropriately, under FMC kind of nuances and certainly statements and regulatory guidance that they've released.
Okay. And then in a possibly related question, taking a look at the laws and regulations around maritime shipping, what is one that you'd like to change?
Oh, interesting.
Seeing as you'd like to be in Washington at some point.
Yeah, this actually not so difficult. One of the biggest things about ocean alliances that I think was a big miss and continues to be a big miss is the FMC doesn't have the ability to deny the creation of ocean alliances. And don't get me wrong, I actually do like ocean alliances. I think that they serve a big purpose. I think that they are an overall net win for the shipping community. They provide a lot of benefits and service and routes, all that. But the FMC, if somebody were to come to them with an agreement that has 80% market share in it, they can't just outright deny it. They have to file an injunction in court to stop them. And they have to do that within 45 days of the filing of the agreement. OSRA didn't touch on that, where Congressman kept saying, we're going to be going after the alliances. Wouldn't that be such an easy thing to put in that the FMC can actually deny it in-house instead of having to take it to court?
That's a great idea there as well. Number 8, what is the best book that you've read that has helped you in the freight industry, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a freight-centric book?
Sure. I would probably say The Business of Shipping. I had never heard of the Federal Maritime Commission up until that point, and luckily still had that book when I applied there, because like we know, I worked at the Federal Maritime Commission. They actually mentioned it. Most shipping books don't even mention the Federal Maritime Commission. So it helped me to do some reading up on the agency before I got there.
All right, number 9, I think that I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. You obviously have a podcast, a great podcast, which people can tune into. But I want to ask you, if you had a show, who would your co-host be? Matt Leffler, Sal Mercogliano, or somebody else?
Oh, great question. So when I first started, Matt and I dabbled in being co-hosts, and he was the surface transport guy and I was the ocean transport girl. And so it was so fun. It was great. But Sal's so maritime, and I'm a maritime person, right? So, you know what? I'm going to say you, Bill. You and I should do.
Oh, come on.
You and I should do a joint podcast.
I'm flattered. I'm very flattered. Thank you for
you can bring in the trucking element.
I'm not sure how much that would add to the conversation, since I'm not the expert.
I think more than you know.
Okay, number 10, final question, always the same one. Fill in the blank. Freight is blank.
Freight is everywhere. I'm sure everybody says that. But freight is life. Freight is everything. Freight is sustainability in the lifestyle that we all enjoy, right? 90% of everything comes by ocean shipping, but arguably 100% of everything comes by truck. And probably 2% of society knows that.
Great answer there as well. Lauren Beagen, the maritime professor. You are off the hot seat.
Great to be here. Thank you.